Welcome back for another week, team. Now, this week, I want to talk about a growth mindset, and I'm going to make this one a lot bigger so you guys can see the whole thing because I think this is very important because often people talk about growing and they talk about growth and they talk about all these amazing things that we can do. But what we don't often do is take a step back and ask ourselves, okay, all right, what is the mindset you need to have to grow? And I saw this image and I thought this was amazing for us to really think about. And here's just a few examples of things we should keep in mind as we are navigating growth. Because here's the truth is I am not a fan of saying that we need to ignore when bad things happen. What I am saying is we need to be able to accept the reality that, hey, there will be some unpleasant or there will be some challenging things that happen, but how are we going to respond to those challenging things? And this is something that impacts us professionally as well as personally in our relationships, no matter what area of life. So, as we operate in our business and we are moving forward in whatever our goals are, we need to be asking ourselves is, am I approaching this situation with a growth mindset? For example, the first one, everybody is going to have to do a little bit different than what we've done in the past. As I said, we're in Operation Mama Bird. If you watch the previous video, you understand what Operation Mama Bird is. That is everybody becoming a little bit more independent on the things that they are responsible for, which means you're probably going to have to do some things that may be a little harder than you were used to in the past, or you're going to have to stretch a little bit more. What I would say is a negative mindset is recognizing, hey, this is hard for me to do. I just want to give up. But a growth mindset is having this perspective of like, I'm not denying that this is hard. I'm not denying that this is uncomfortable, but I am going to persevere and I am going to ask for help. Meaning, I'm not just going to sit back and complain about how uncomfortable this may be or how difficult it is. I'm going to ask for help. And then also, when you make a mistake, is that yes, when we do our age assessments and we do our reviews, there will be things that will get pointed out to where there may be areas where you made a mistake. It is not a time for you to then have self pity or feel bad about it. It is, we should have the perspective is that, you know what? The feedback helps me get better. And a very good example of that is one of our newer team members, Olive. So, Olive has been doing a great job of learning new things in her business. And one of the skills and the things that she's working on is taking over our email communication. And so I gave her an assignment to work on the email. And I told her ahead of time is, hey, I'm going to give you very honest feedback on this email. And so she wrote the email. And then I wrote in there and I gave her some honest feedback. And I will say is, I was very particular about certain things in the email. And when she read it, she had a choice to make. She could either take it personal and then she could feel bad about it and just lose all of her confidence, or she could look at it and say, "Hey, you know what? I am going to get better and I am not going to make the same mistake again." And actually, she started asking for help. She said, "Hey, Terrell, I know you gave me some feedback on this. I want to get better at this. Can you help me?" And I was like, you know what? I absolutely love that. And it gave me a chance to tell her, like, hey, I know I gave you some direct feedback on this, but I think you're being too hard on yourself because it took me like a year and a half to get good at this because I had to learn it on my own. But I showed her some resources and some tools. We had some training programs, and she's been doing the training on her own every day. And I see her work is getting better. Like in a matter of a week, I will say her work got dramatically better because she started using the advice and asking for help because she wasn't going to focus on the negative. She was going to focus on, hey, how do I use this as a growth opportunity? And the same thing for everyone on the team. When you are faced with a situation that is uncomfortable or a situation that is unpleasant, the question you need to ask yourself is, are you going to have a negative mindset, meaning you're going to fall into just complaining about it or gossiping about it, or just feeling bad about it? Or are we going to have a growth mindset where we look at it and say, hey, you know what? I'm not denying that something bad happened. I'm not denying that something uncomfortable happened, but I am not going to choose to be negative. I am going to choose to find the opportunity. If I need to ask for help, I will ask for help. But I am not going to stay negative about this. I am going to accept the reality, but then look for the opportunity, and then I am going to move forward. So, as you are working this week, there may be some things like, hey, multiple deadlines come up, or hey, there might be mistakes that have popped up. The question you need to ask yourself: am I going to have a negative mindset, or am I going to take a growth mindset and find a way to move forward in a productive way? Have a great week, team.